Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. It's me Sneha again. In this video, I'm going to narrate the story called At the Church Door, written by Guy D. Maupassant. Well, to begin with, the writer, Guy D. Maupassant is a short story writer. He has written various essays, prose pieces, travelogues, etc. But people do remember him as a short story writer because all his stories are very close to reality. They depict realism. Even though his stories do not comprises or talk about the elites, the rich community, people of upper classes. It talks about common people. So people when they read it, they feel that their life, their feeling is depicted in the story. So which is why he's very, very famous for his short stories. Even in the story that we are going to see today, we see about an aged couple and their love towards their son who is lost is what we are going to see in this story. And his writings were mostly influenced by the French writer called Flaubert, and we see that his writings were heavily influenced by not just only this writer but other French writings which happened around 1800 etc. So that's all for the introduction part. So let's begin with the story, shall we? To begin with, so the story takes place in a rural place where we see a wheelwright. He is the protagonist, and there is a farmer's daughter. So they both get married and they work really hard, and there is so much love and intimacy between them. So they have everything. They have fortune enough for themselves to live a very healthy and a wealthy life. But then they have something that bothers them. That is what they do not have any child. Apart from that, they have everything there, everything that makes them comfortable living in the rural place. So they do not have a child, which is what makes them very sad. So after many years, the farmer's daughter actually beget a child, and now they are a very happy family, living very happily. So we see that the wheelwright and the farmer's daughter, so his wife, they are working very hard in the mornings, but then at the time we see that the little kid is playing there. So I think that's a wonderful scene. That's how beautifully the story actually begins. But does this happiness stay the same way? Well, no, that's what happens in real life too, right? So one fine day, what happens is that the wheelwright finds that his son is missing. So he gets very upset, and he's very shocked too, because this son is the apple of their eye. So they start searching. Finally, at that time, they realize that there is a circus is happening in the town square of the town hall. So there they find their son sitting in the lap of a age-old clown. So the son is very happy, and he's laughing, and he's having his enjoyable time with the clown. So the father feels very relaxed after finding his son. So they bring him home. After that, their routine life starts, and once again after 3 days, the son goes on missing. So now once again the father is father and the mother, they are upset. So they go to different houses, they knock different doors, they ask for their son, but then nobody knows what happened. And then it strikes in their mind that their son could be just 3 days before, he could be sitting in the clown's lap. So they immediately rush to the circus, but to their disappointment, the circus member actually vacated this place. So there was no sign of tents or colorful lights or anything. So now they do not know where to search for him. So they start searching in their own village, but then there was no sign of their child is lost. They now start searching for him from one place to another place. Since their house is located to a specific location, it feels very difficult for them to search for him everywhere. So they finally decide to sell their land, their house, everything, and they take the money and then they move from one place to another. So now more or less they wanderer or gypsies, they start going on. Eventually they lose all their money, because at one point of time they lose everything, right? So now they are in utter poverty, but then their search for their son doesn't end. So they keep on moving. They ask to different people if they've seen someone with the same kind of features and everything. So they ask for him. So it's really sad, of course. While reading it, we can feel that it's really sad, but then we get to see the true love of the age-old parents, of course. Suddenly they actually meet an innkeeper, to whom, of course, a usual routine. So they ask about their son, and they just want to know if they have seen somebody like this. But then this innkeeper instilled a ray of hope, saying that someone he knew or he's familiar with, they lost their kid, but then they found this kid a few days later in Paris. So now the parents are very, very happy, because they feel they might find their son in Paris. So immediately they start traveling to Paris. So Paris is completely now different, because they were in a rural place, but Paris is entirely a very fashionable and very upgraded city. So these they do not know like where to search for him, or they do not know where to begin or to whom to ask or anything, because people are like busy going here and there. So we know that of course like Paris is completely an elite place where like people are going to their jobs, they're like enjoying. It's a tourist place which attracts many people, so they do not know like these tourists, of course they'll also be new to the place, so they might not have seen their child. So more or less like it's like not really completely appropriate to actually address him as a child, because more or less like there it has been like 15 years ago he was lost. So now he's almost around 20 years. அதனால வந்து லைக் இப்போ வந்து போய் தேடுறதுல வந்து ரொம்ப இம்பாசிபிள். ஆனாலும் they are not ready to leave their search, so they start searching for him. So then this wheelwright gets an idea like, why not go and sit in the church, because like church is a common place. They are of course like belong to Christian faith, so there are like chances their son might come to the church. So he goes there and sit near the doorway. So every Sundays and etc, like he goes there, watches people, and like many times he would actually like mistake someone for his son. He would go talk to him, but then like feel disappointed because they might like say something very contrary to what he expected. So this continued for a particular period of time. So there is this one person who sprinkles holy water, who actually does this job. He's also an aged old man. So this man actually like feels sad for this couple, and like he gives them an accommodation, of course, like food accommodation. So they are also very loyal to him. So their search continues like this, and after a period of time the person who sprinkles this holy water, he dies. So there is no one to take up the job. So the priest who's in the church, who's like very familiar with this wheelwright, because this priest might have seen him like almost all Sundays, like sitting here waiting for him, very loyal, etc. So he actually gives the job, and he also like wants to show his loyalty to these people, because when no one was ready to save them or help them in Paris, these people like gave them accommodation, right? So he wants to be loyal and repay it, which is why he takes up the job. And one fine day, like when he's like sprinkling the holy water, doing his job and everything, he sees an old lady, and then there is an young lady, of course. So they are coming, and he actually thinks like probably they are mother and daughter. But then like there is a handsome young man like approaching them, and they are like coming closer to him, and he kind of like suspects that this could be their son. But then like he has this experience of like spotting some people, thinking that it could be their son, talking to them, and then realizing it is not. So he's now he doesn't want to do the same mistake, so he's like kind of like suspecting, but then like he doesn't act upon it. And then like after like period of time, like constantly after on the Sundays, like he sees the same young man. And then like to avoid every confusion, but to get clarity, he brings his wife to church and also like asks her if it is their son. So they wait patiently. So just like every other Sunday, so the old lady, the young woman, and that handsome young man, so they are approaching. So his wife, wheelwright's wife, actually feels that this man kind of like exactly looks how the wheelwright used to look when he was young. So probably he must be their son. So that is what they come to the conclusion. So now wheelwright feels like very happy. So he feels that his joy is overflowing. He's unable to like open his mouth and raise a voice. So now that these people are like moving away from him. So finally he gathers up the strength and everything. So he calls his name, Jean. So he calls him, and then like the boy like who was going there, he also like feels shocked that someone has called his name. So he turns back and he identifies the couple, and the first set of words he utters is Father Perry and Mother Jean. So this is what he does. Now the very happy reunion takes place. So the son says that he was lost when he was 5 years old, right? So the only set of words he remembers is Father Perry, Mother Jean. So that's all he could remember, and with the little detail that he was unable to find who their mother and father was, because nobody will be able to identify anything. He does not know where he belongs or anything. So he narrates the flashback that it was the circus people who actually kidnapped him so that they can use him as a worker there. But unfortunately, the circus company got closed at one point of time, and they left the boy as he was in the middle of the road. And the old lady actually adopted, she was very kind, she adopted him, proper education, job and everything. Now he is in a position to live his own life. So he was like engaged to a young girl who was accompanying them. So like there is a happy reunion. The father is like very happy seeing the young women, and he does not object the marriage, and he's happy that now the family got very bigger, because like he got a son back, and he's about to get married. He's engaged to a very fine young lady, and also the lady who adopted his son. So now they are all together, a happy family. So with that note, the story ends. Okay, what exactly does this story teach? Well, it shows the reality of people. It shows the common man's struggle, and we see that life is full of troubles and turmoils, of course, but then like it is our never giving up attitude which saves us in the end of the day. And also the particular reunion that takes place in the church kind of symbolizes like how people at times lose faith in God, but in the end it is the God that saves us, the divine force, because we human beings are nothing in front of the divine force. So end of the day we have to rely upon God, and of course like God doesn't like forsake the people who believe him. So that is why the reunion takes place in the church. And the next thing is like how human beings feel helpless in the hands of fate and circumstance. It was their determination to find their son, which eventually ends up in a happy ending. So that is what Guy de Maupassant says. So reality where we see that is the ups and downs, and finally a happy ending, which kind of shows like justice will be rewarded, of course. So that's all for today. We'll meet in some other video. Until that, stay safe and make healthy choices. Bye.